We have breaking news now. President Biden is meeting with the leaders of Japan and South Korea at Camp David for their first trilateral meeting. Let's listen.
You stepped up to do the hard work, I would argue historic work, to forge a foundation from which we can face the future together, the three of us together. And I'm deeply grateful for your leadership, and I look forward to working with both of you as we begin this new era of cooperation and renew our resolve to serve as a force of good across the Indo-Pacific and, quite frankly, around the world as well.
I would like to extend my gratitude to President Biden for his warm hospitality. Last July, we met in Vilnius for the NATO summit, and I'm pleased to be reunited in about a month. At this symbolic venue of Camp David in the history of modern diplomacy, our trilateral partnership is opening a new chapter, which carries great significance in my view. President Roosevelt once stated, "Freedom is not a given, but something you fight to win." To make sure that each of our freedoms is neither threatened or damaged, our three nations must tighten our solidarity. Such is also our promise and mandate towards our future generations. A stronger coordination between Korea, the U.S., and Japan requires more robust institutional foundations. Moreover, challenges that threaten regional security must be addressed by us building up stronger commitment to working together. Today will be remembered as a historic day where we established a firm institutional basis and commitments to the trilateral partnership. Today, I hope we will explore together ways to elevate cooperation between Korea, the U.S., and Japan to a new plane through in-depth discussions.
First of all, I would like to express my sympathy once again for the devastating damages caused by the wildfires in Maui, Hawaii. In order to provide relief to the affected people, Japan has decided to offer a total of around $2 million of support. I offer my heartfelt prayer for the earliest possible recovery of the affected areas. May I also once again convey my heartfelt condolences for the passing away of President Yoon's father. And now, I would like to thank Joe for your kind invitation to the tour of us to Camp David, a place with history. President Yoon, I have been meeting you almost on a monthly basis since March of this year, but the fact that we, the three leaders, have got together in this way, I believe means that we are indeed making a new history as of today. The international community is at a turning point in history. In order to allow the potential of our trilateral strategic collaboration to bloom and blossom, I wish to take this moment to raise the security coordination between Japan, ROK, and the U.S. To new heights, while strengthening the coordination between the Japan-U.S. and the U.S.-ROK alliances. As we deepen our cooperation in the response to North Korea, I wish to expand and deepen our collaboration in extensive areas, including economic security, such as critical and emerging technology cooperation and supply chains resilience. Today, I look forward to engaging in frank discussions amongst ourselves in order to declare a new era of Japan-US-ROK partnership. I once again express my gratitude for Joe's initiative. Thank you.
I want to bring in senior national correspondent Terry Moran now for more on this. Terry, this is the first ever standalone trilateral summit with Japan and South Korea. We heard Fumio Kishida, the Japanese prime minister, saying that he wants to talk about more collaboration when it comes to security in North Korea, but also tech, supply chain issues. How significant is this meeting, and how broad is it in terms of what they're trying to accomplish here?
It is historic, Diane. There's no question that this is the first meeting in history, a standalone summit between the leaders of the United States, Japan, and South Korea. And it signals a new era in the Asia-Pacific region, because these countries are democracies. They're very powerful economically. The United States, obviously, a dominant military power. And they are answering a new era in the Asia-Pacific region because of China's rise and China's increasing aggression in the region and the threat from North Korea as well. And as you mentioned, the agenda is broader than just security, just military issues. They are also essentially meeting the challenge from China on economic issues as well. China, so much of the supply chains, as we discovered during the pandemic, come through China. And now that China is acting in a very different and more aggressive way in that region, there's a sense that we need to reorient that. That's part of what this is about. But really what we have here is the first step in what all three of these leaders hope will be a long-term, not alliance, but partnership among these countries that will change how people think about the Asia-Pacific region, and more importantly, how actors like China act in the Asia-Pacific region.
Terry, we heard President Biden emphasize twice that he feels these countries are stronger and that we are stronger as we stand together. And he said the world is safer. What's at stake here?
You know, underneath that comment and underneath some of what you heard from Prime Minister Kishida is a sense that there is a conflict or almost a new Cold War, right, between more authoritarian regimes like China and Russia and those countries that are still dedicated to a kind of liberal democracy like Japan and South Korea and the United States, and that we are now essentially faced with not conflict but challenge and competition from countries that have very different values from us and that are willing to challenge us and our allies on that. This summit would not have happened without the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It completely changed the thinking on what a power like Russia, an authoritarian power like Russia, might do, can do. China has openly talked about Taiwan being a part of China and taken military steps to secure a potential pressure, at least if not actual military operation against Taiwan, to bring it into China's sovereignty. And so this is something that I think is a result of a new order in the world, a disorder, if you will, partly premised on the reckless invasion of Ukraine, a neighboring country, by Vladimir Putin, and his insistence that he's going to take some of it, a good chunk of it, and keep it, and maybe more too. That has awakened NATO allies in Europe, who see an old threat from Russia, whether it was under communism, Tsarism, or Putinism, to their security and sovereignty, and also in Asia, to see China essentially following a similar path and declaring an alliance without end with Vladimir Putin's Russia, that essentially countries like Japan and South Korea, Australia, and other countries there are looking to the United States to take a leadership position for their values and their ways. And that's what you're seeing.
And Terry, we heard President Biden talk about the symbolism of Camp David. Why do this there and not at the White House?
To make a statement, really, Diane. I think it's interesting, Joe Biden knows the history of Camp David. He's lived much of it. He was a United States senator when Jimmy Carter brokered the great Middle East peace deal there between Israel and Egypt. The first Middle East peace treaty was done by marathon negotiations up at Camp David. Before that, President Franklin Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill helped plan strategy and post-war strategy at Camp David. It allows leaders to get away from things. You see them without ties, to be a little bit more informal. It's a quiet place. The press is up there, obviously. But really, you do have three leaders and their staffs up in the woods, and it's meant to send a signal to them that these are talks like those other historic events that should be productive, that can be frank and collegial. And I think he's hoping also to tap into the historic nature of Camp David and set this new partnership between Japan, South Korea, and the United States on a similar course of success. That's the hope, anyway.
All right, senior national correspondent Terry Moran. Always great to have you, Terry. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.